Chapter 11. Friday evening. "So, how are you dealing with everything?" Patrick asked as Kat helped him clear the dishes after dinner. Kat chuckled slightly as she rinsed a cup in the sink. "I feel like I should be asking you that question. You're the one having to adjust to being a single father." "True, and that's difficult. But I'm not the one seeing angels and trying to convince people to believe her." Kat turned off the water and sighed. "I spoke with Raven today. She listened, but I don't know if she really heard me, if she wanted to hear me. I feel like I'm going crazy, Patrick. This isn't how I saw my life going at all." He set down the towel he had been using to wipe the table and crossed to her. His hands grabbed her arms and he stared into her eyes. "Life doesn't always turn out the way we planned it, but you have an amazing mission, and you are not crazy." He chuckled and let go of her arms. "Stella used to tell me how strong you were and how she wished she could be as strong." Kat bit the inside of her lip. "I don't feel very strong right now." Maddie chose that moment to burst into the kitchen.
"Aunt Kat, will you play Frozen with me?"
Kat smiled at the young girl. How she wished she could go back to that age, to being so carefree and simple. Even though the girl had lost her mother, she didn't let it consume her. "Sure, honey." "Have faith, Kat," Patrick said as she left the room. "Everything will work out. You'll see."
"Yeah, Aunt Kat, have faith,"
Maddie said as she pulled Kat to her room.
"Mommy said I would get to see her again soon."
Kat planted her feet and stared down at Maddie. "Mommy? When did you talk to your mom, Maddie?" Maddie shrugged.
"In my dream last night. She found me at the park and gave me a hug. Then she told me it wouldn't be much longer until we were together again. I'm glad. I miss my mommy."
A tiny seed of jealousy sprouted in Kat's stomach, but she wasn't sure if she was jealous because Stella was now visiting Maddie's dreams instead of her own, or if she was jealous of Maddie's simple faith and acceptance. "You're a pretty amazing kid. You know that, right, Monkey?"
"You're amazing too, Aunt Kat. Now, do you want to be Elsa or Anna?"
"An angel." The words collided together in Jordan's head as she stowed her suitcase and then sat down. So that's why she had been so comfortable around him. It made sense, but her mind was still reeling. Jeremy had just dropped a bombshell on her, and she wasn't sure she was entirely caught up yet. "Why do I need an angel?" Jordan asked as Jeremy plopped down beside her. Her brain felt like it was pulsing out of her head. Kindness shone from his face as he smiled patiently at her and opened his mouth to explain. "You can't see them, Jordan, but there are demons all around. They are waiting for us to slip, to take our eyes off you so they can sow their seeds. They know that you are important, and they want to take you out of commission. Fortunately, they haven't been able to reach you, but it's why they've gone after your son." Jordan's head shot up. "That baby I've been seeing, he's my son?" Jeremy nodded. "He is, and he is in danger. We stopped your visions so you would know that you had to go and help him." Jordan swallowed as fear constricted her heart. "And that shape that I've seen leaning over him, that's a demon?" He nodded again. "For now, they are simply watching him, but they will strike soon. We have to protect him." "Why? I mean, don't get me wrong, I want him protected. But if all believers are going to be raptured soon, doesn't that include children?" Jeremy's eyes shifted from her gaze, and the vein in his neck bulged. "What? What aren't you telling me? Surely you're not saying that babies and children get left behind." "No, they will be taken." "Then what?" He returned his gaze to her. "Losing your son would have a profound impact on you, enough to skew your visions and influence those around you negatively." "So you're saying if my son dies, then I start leading people astray?" "We won't let that happen." Jeremy touched her arm, but even the warmth of his touch didn't dispel the coldness that had sprouted in Jordan's stomach from his words. Raven dropped her gym bag on the floor and headed for the shower. Angels, demons, rapture, tribulation. Kat was even crazier than she thought. The girl seriously had a screw loose. But what if she was right? What if there was something supernatural going on here? Raven had no other explanations for the dreams or the black shapes. Plus, there was the mysterious Micah. She'd dismissed the idea originally that he was Kat's angel. But what if he was? She could find out. After her shower, she could return to work and check out the room again. If it was still an office, she could do some snooping to find out about Micah. And if it wasn't, well, then she might have to consider Kat's story a little more closely. Raven turned on the hot water and peeled off her clothes. She stepped into the pelting water, letting it soothe her muscles. Workouts always left her tense, but dealing with this, whatever it was making it worse. Her hand massaged the spot on her back near her shoulder blade that always seemed to carry the worst of it as her mind wandered. If Kat's story was true, why would she be important? She was no one, an abused teen who turned into a hardened woman. She cared for no one, and she certainly didn't treat her body like a temple. Why on earth would she matter if the tribulation did happen? Then suddenly the room grew bright. Raven placed one hand on the wall of the shower and the other over her eyes. What was happening to her? "Do you know why we named you Raven, honey?" The dark-haired girl stared up at her father from the swing.
"No, why, Daddy?"
"Because you are so special. Your mother and I waited a long time to have you. In fact, we had given up hope that we would ever have children. And then your mother had a dream. She dreamt that an angel told her you would be born, and that you would be a guide for people when the time came. Ravens don't mind the darkness, but they can guide people to the light. I think one day you'll be an important guide, Raven." The little girl's laugh sounded like tinkling bells.
"Daddy, you're so silly. I'm too little to guide people."
The image faded and Raven gasped. Was that a memory? She had so few of her father it was hard to be sure. He'd been killed shortly after her 9th birthday, mugged in the parking lot as he placed Christmas gifts into his car. There'd been no Christmas that year, and Raven's life had changed after that. Her mother had turned first to alcohol and then to men in an attempt to fill the void in her life. Raven had retreated into the darkness, dressing in black and letting negativity fill her soul. What had her father said? That she was a guide? She was supposed to lead people to the light? What light? Kat was the one who saw lights. Jordan only saw dark shapes. Could he have meant the light after the rapture? Was she supposed to guide people after all the Christians were gone? Though she wanted it not to be true, the answer felt right in her soul. Yes, she really needed to find Micah again. Half an hour later, she turned off the Jeep and stared at the building. The sun hadn't quite set yet, and there were still a few cars in the parking lot. Could one of them be Micah's? Did he even drive? Only one way to find out. She flashed her badge as she passed the reception desk on her way to the elevator. A part of her feared the woman would ask where she was going, but the woman seemed not to care. Raven punched the button and stepped inside when the doors opened. A moment later, the ding of the elevator broke the silence and Raven stepped out, letting the doors close behind her. The floor appeared empty, but Raven forced her feet to head in the direction of room 144. When she reached the door, she knocked, but no voice beckoned her inside this time. She placed her hand on the doorknob and turned, expecting to find it locked, but it swung open to an empty room. Raven flicked on the light and stared in disbelief. The office had been minimal when she had visited with Micah before, but there was nothing here now. No desk, no phone, not even any indentations on the carpet where the furniture had been. It was like nothing had been in this office for a very long time. So what exactly had she seen, and who had she spoken with?